encourage us, وَتَصِمُوا بِالْحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا, which is the last verse given to Muhammad. Remember earlier I said the last chapter was the 110, but the last verse ever said to Muhammad, the last verse he ever received from Allah was وَتَصِمُوا بِالْحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا. Hold on, وَتَصِمُوا بِالْحَبْلِ, to the rope like a tug of war. وَتَصِمُوا بِالْحَبْلِ اللَّهِ of Allah as one jama'. وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا, and don't let anybody separate y'all. You see? So we encourage people to come in and struggle with us, like the children of Israel did, and like Jesus told his followers, come and walk with me. Struggle on the inside with us. That's why we haven't set up a program on the outside, because if we do, people are going to stay outside. And it's going to become an easier life for them there than it is going to be on the inside, where I guarantee you, brother, and any person in that room, if you put your kids in the mosque, within 3 to 4 months, they're speaking fluent Arabic. Isn't that every Muslim's dream? Every woman there, would you want your kids to be fluent in the Arabic language? I mean, if you aspire to be a Muslim?
Yes.
So if your kids are here in 3 months, even, by 6 months, they're fluently speaking Arabic. And
what's the point?
Because he sees that this planet, Kira, is about to destroy itself. It's going to self-destruct.
Are not there. They're there. They're just not in the observable mode that you're in.
Sometimes you feel like your tracks are right there, but they're just not ready to export. There's still something missing.
And when you're in beta or awake, you understand? So they're in different states. So you might experience it in theta, all right? Where you go, they literally call it the inspiration realm, or the inspiration universe, or the inspiration dimension, or the inspiration state of observation, where when you tap into that, you're literally able to pull in thoughts that you wouldn't be able to pull in if you were just constantly staying up, you know what I'm saying, or awake and then going back to rest. There's a stage in between there which you can activate if you get too sleepy, and you say, I'm ready to go to sleep, but you continue to stay up. Your staying up causes, you ever been in a situation where you're talking to somebody and you get sleepy and you're still talking to them, but you start forgetting what you're saying, but you know you still were talking? That's theta state. You're pulling in from a realm of inspiration. That's what people say when they were writing the divine scriptures. They said they were in theta state. And you had people who actually knew how to put themselves in there, where they would have people that would wait by their bed, and when they were about to drift off into sleep, they'd make a loud noise so that they can activate that state of mind. Go look it up. There's something called the Jose Silva technique. If you haven't heard of it, Jose Silva, Silva. Go look up the Jose Silva technique, and it teaches more about the altered states of consciousness. Okay? So my point is, when I saw the movie Insidious, I said, just from the idea of astral projection being dark, okay, people may not understand how powerful an idea is. Just from the idea of astral projection being dark, when people start to experience that astral projection, it's the same way with sleep paralysis. A lot of people were introduced to monsters and demons and all kinds of things through movies since they were children. You understand? So when they started experiencing that realm between states of consciousness, where you literally are able to step out of these realms and go into an accelerated state called the astral plane, if you were allowed to, if you would allow yourself to, without the fear which causes restrictions. All right, when people get in that realm, they start experiencing demonic beings. Does that mean that the demonic beings don't exist and it's just coming from some movie? No, it means that they're in amber light when they're resting. They're resting in amber light. And these beings are attracted to amber light. What's a better way to say it? We went over this last time. They're attracted to lower vibrational frequencies. You understand? So let's say sex, lust, when pornography is open, these different literal windows are open, beings are able to be attracted to whoever's indulging in what they now are calling demon time, all right, or the ungodly hour, or what they say the witching hours, what the Wiccans used to say, but it's the ungodly hour of demon time, anywhere between 12 a.m. to 3 a.m., where it's supposed to be people are tapping into the mental reservoir, all right? They're tapping into pornography, and it's opening doors for people where they're having encounters with beings that they wouldn't normally have encounters with, because those beings are literally using those windows to channel, all right? So people are wondering, why do they get these urges to go and even look into or look up these pornography sites, or go do this or go do that? Why do they get these urges? A lot of times it's because they're surrounded by amber light, which means they're in the presence of beings who gravitate toward that light. So let's say if you got trash in your room, a whole bunch of trash in your room, and a fly comes in, all right, it's because there's trash there. So the fly will be equivalent to the demon, and the trash will be equivalent to all of the things you've been consuming, all right? For example, when we speak about the donuts, we yield to the impurities all right, that these beings that will be scientifically referred to as parasites are attracted to. And there are so many different forms of parasites where the basis of it is to say that there's another being that comes in, integrates and weaves itself into your being, okay, and starts to affect, whether it be through the gut or through the actual attachment to your brain. They start to affect literally how you feel and what you do, what you carry out, your acts, your actions. You understand? So if people wanted to have less of the sleep paralysis experiences, they would have to understand why it's happening. For one, is because when there's a lot of electromagnetism in the root chakra, okay, there are a lot of beings who can sense it, and whether it be through their technology, like they showed you in the movie Jupiter's Ascendant, they can cause you to go into paralysis. You don't have to believe me on this, but some people may need to go and watch that movie so you can see what I'm saying. Because when you look at the scene where there was a female floating in the air, and they were moving her around in this warping type of technology, and there were these gray-looking beings, like the gray aliens, that kept stepping in and out of the reality, and they were invisible to the common eye, but the one who was the main character could see them. Okay, those gray beings look exactly like the depictions of the demons for a reason. Because a lot of people say, yo, I felt something probing me. I felt something being stuck inside of me. Okay, well, what was that? Okay, let me tell you. It was one of the two things. It was either a phallus, meaning the penis of an incubus. That might be uncomfortable for some people, but it's a reason why you say an incubus as opposed to a succubus. If these beings didn't have reproductive organs, you would never give it a gender. You understand? But you know that they have genders. If you ever had an experience with a succubus, you know this is a woman. Not only do you feel it in their essence, some people have had sex with these beings. You understand? So it's either a phallus or a penis that you were feeling, or you were feeling a literal probe, which is a piece of technology, like a thermometer, that you stick in somebody and it gives you a reading. It's the same type of technology, except when they stick it into somebody, they extract the electromagnetic yields, and they're able to pull that energy. Go watch the movie Monsters, Inc. if you think I'm crazy. Go watch the movie Monsters, Inc. When the children get scared, what do? They siphon the trauma. They siphon the energy. They siphon the adrenochrome releases. Why? Because it's useful for them. It's like food for them. It's a source for them. You understand? So in order for them to continue to have the food that they need the rest of the world to be drunk. Because when the rest of the world is drunk with the fornication or the wine, you understand, which gives you the fornate or the fornication or pornography, then they have more food. Because human beings may not think much of their energy, but there are beings around you that do. And you may not know what to call them, but a lot of people that are listening to me have experienced them, and you may have been told that it was all in your head, and I'm here to tell you it's not all in your head. Okay, and it hasn't been all in your head. It wasn't in your ancestors' head. These are beings that actually exist, and they use humans as a resource. Okay, so to avoid certain things, I tell people stay away from the horror movies. Okay, and they show you what happens when these beings start arriving, when they get into your system, like the movie Venom explains it. When they get into your system, they start taking over. You understand? They'll show you that the venom being was not just some random worm floating around. It had its own brain. It's called an instinctual parasite, meaning it just wants to live. That's all it wants to do. It does not care about your well-being. That's why Eddie Brock was going through hell. They say, bro, you look like shit. Why? Because he was being taken through the ringer just to allow for this being to survive. You understand? And once they're done using you up, what they do? They jump to the next body. So their whole thing is to siphon that soul energy from you and siphon the electromagnetism that you build up, whether it be through masturbation, whatever. That's why it's important for you to learn to transmute. Is it wrong for a person to feel what they feel that allows for them to create a life, which you would call lust? No, it's not wrong to feel that. This is where you get into raising up the frequency. That's why a lot of people are being consumed through lust. You understand? Or conceived, excuse me. A lot of people were conceived through lust. You understand? Few people were conceived through love. But what's the difference? The difference is, where were your intentions and where was your attention when the child was being conceived? Now, if you already placed ideas in people's minds through the pornography or whatever their tools have been used, because all of it is pornography, whether it be Hollywood movies, the music, all of it is the same thing. If you already put in people's minds, okay, that they need to have sex in vain, okay, and that they need to think and do all these vain things, at the point of the climax, that's where they were. They were in the amber light. You understand? So the person wasn't conceived in the frequency of love. They already brought into the world in what's called sin. You understand? And then when they're born into the world, literally when they escape or exit the womb, all right, they're born into sin. And a lot of people don't like to hear that. Say, I wasn't born into no sin. What are you really saying? You're saying you're born into the world of the moon. Sin is another word for an ancient Mesopotamian god called Sin, or Nana, or Zuen. It's other words and other names that they give them. But Zuen comes up under the color red. That's his color. All right? That's your lowest vibrational color that you know of, other than the augmentational color, which is black. So the highest color that you would know of beyond that would be purple, okay, which gives you the indigo, all right, before you start going into the violet or ultraviolet, which gives you the white, okay? So when you're in Zuen's world, you're operating on a frequency that is a red frequency, and that's where a lot of people were conceived, you understand, right there, and they were born into a world of Zuen. So they were born into a world of lust, chaos, and confusion. Their whole purpose of traveling through this reality is to regain their connection with the divine. And the way to regain your connection with the divine, where was it severed at? It was severed when you were born, when they cut the umbilical cord. Notice that they start off umbilical with om. The umbilical cord was cut. I call it the umbilical cord. Because when you say biblical, you're speaking in terms of a holy book or Helios Biblos, but you're saying biblical as in Bible, which is the basic information that you would need before leaving Adama, which is the earth, which I told you was the soil chakra. You're going to need that again, because when you learn...
So I can take all these trips because Priceline has all these amazing deals. And that's when I said, deal.
The home, again, listen, you're going to be able to exit Adama, the earth. And you won't be caught in the curse. And the curse is, everybody who came from Adama was supposed to return back to Adama. You're supposed to return back to the ground. All right? But we left a clause in there that said, we formed man out of the dust of the ground. We formed you out of the atom of, then we breathed into you a certain type of knowledge and information, which happens to be Ka, all right, which is the spirit, where we say, test every spirit with the spirit, like I broke down and said, that's the information. When you were given a certain level of information, you were able to ascend as a master and evolve. And when you say evolve, you're saying two words. What words are you saying? Eve, and you're saying olive. Eve, olive. Or you can say Eve alive. Whatever way you want to say it, the word Eve means living. All right, which gives you Hawa. All right, we say Hawa. We say Yahweh. What is Yahweh? You're saying oh living. Yahuwah. Yah. All right, oh living. Hawa. And who said oh living? Rasulullah, Muhammad. Oh living. When he called out and was in distress, he would start off and say, oh living, speaking to Eve. If I'm making it up, go look up, what does Eve mean? What does Hawa mean? It means life, living. This is what a lot of people don't want to hear, because it gets into the science of, is the woman God? All right? Meaning, is the woman God, not goddess? All right? Is the woman God? In all actuality, the double X chromosome will represent the fullness of Homo sapiens. If you really want to look at it, the Homo sapien is the full God image. Because we were made in the image and after the likeness of who? God, which brings you to a being called Nenti, all right, which Mother Nenti was the woman who said what? Science of the rib, woman of the rib. All right, where you get the story of Adam yielding Eve from the rib. Okay, and this scientist was accredited to being the creator or of the creators who yielded the human beings in the image and after the likeness of them. So these were women, all right? If you started off with Homo sapien from Homo erectus, you could not have started with XY. Science says there's a mitochondria, what? Eve. A mitochondria Eve, not a mitochondria Adam. That's science. Why do they say that? You understand? It's because it started with XX, double X chromosome. And that XX chromosome, you look at that symbol behind our two video, our two displays, you see that 6-pointed star? That's a double X chromosome. You understand? You may have to take the horizontal lines out to see it. Take the horizontal lines out, and you will see he breathed life into man, and he became an Eve. Right? He evolved with the old. That's how you use that healing to get up to the purity aspect of the blue chakra, which we haven't gotten there yet. It's going to take more work. Okay? But the whole purpose of the green light is to heal the self. Go look it up. That's why they call it unhurt. You need to master the bait, because they keep reeling you in and hooking you in. And everybody's so stuck in their own masturbation, whether it be through physical or mental. And they can't master that bait. And they're hooked. If somebody gets stuck on a drug, what do you call them? You say, you're hooked. If they take a drug, what do they say? We need another hit. I need another hit. It's all an illusion. Another illusion that they give you would say, I need a fix. Saying there's something that's broken, but it's an illusion of fixing something. Because after you get that so-called fix, there's something called a crash. And when you crash, you say, damn, I need another fix. But I thought you got fixed. So people are high out their mind, okay, which is an illusion of being high, because really they low. They're experiencing bliss, but the bliss is an illusion. You with me? They keep asking for a fix, but they won't fix themselves or go into rehab. That's why the whole world needs rehab, because the whole world has been duped, like we said the dragon was going to do. The dragon duped or deceived or doped the whole world. What did Future say when he did the song with Juice WRLD? World, or the album with Juice WRLD, World on Drugs. The world has been duped. The world has been deceived into worshiping the God of bliss or the orgasm, who is Iblis, Shaitan. And not just some Shaitan outside of themselves. I'm speaking about that they used to show you in the cartoons. You had an angel on one side, the right side was the angel, and the left side was the devil. And both of them were trying to speak to you. You're the one with the will, W-H-E-E-L. You're the one with the will, W-I-L-L, that decides what direction you're going to turn or steer. And both of them made offers to you, like they said in the Quran. Chapter 14, 22. You understand? He said, yo, they're going to try to blame the devil for falling low. And the devil going to say, you have yourselves to blame. All I did was made you an offer. When you were faced with the tree of knowledge of good and evil, they made you an offer. Eve was saying she was beguiled. In all actuality, she chose to eat the fruit. Adam might say he was tricked by the woman. In all actuality, nobody made him eat the fruit. You with me? So what is the fruit of the loom? Well, you say fruit of the loom, you're saying what? Fruit of the Illuminati, but you're also speaking of an underwear brand that guides or guards the genitalia, the tree in the midst of the garden, the phallus, the penis. You with me? And interestingly enough, when you're saying phallus, okay, you're saying a few words. You're saying phallus. Who has a phallus, fellas? And when you're speaking in terms of fallacy, you're saying something is false. If you flip the letters around in the word false, what do you get? Phallus. Phallus, the false world. That's why the elders taught us what? Make sure you're not thinking with the wrong head. Because if you're thinking with the wrong head, you will be misled. What head were they talking about? The phallus. You with me? And so this pertains to both sexes. My point is, when you're living up under the fallacy world or the world of falsehood, okay, you can't ascend. Because every decision you make is based off of your own primitive instincts. And people say, well, I want to ascend. I want to do better. I want to stop this. I want to get off drugs. I want to quit porn. I want to quit sex and casual sex with any and everybody. They want to. What they're really trying to say is they will to. But what are they talking about? They're saying the spirit is willing. They have the spirit of will. But their flesh is that flesh that's weak. What are they saying? The carnal mind can't please God. There's no way you can reach up to that crown if you're invested in the carnal mind. So what I did for people is I started telling them, I said, look, you start with what you know is a basis. Say, you start fasting. You need to eat, right? Everybody needs to eat to survive in some way, shape, or fashion. Okay, so fast. Because that's saying to yourself that you are going to take, even if it's for a day, 2 days, 3 days. All right, the longest we did as a group of people was 9 days as a collective. All right? You take however many days and you're telling your body, even though your body is saying, I have to eat, okay, that you're going to choose not to. You're controlling your body. And your body may not like you in the beginning. But what winds up happening after that third day? Interestingly enough, actually it takes 24 hours. But after that third day, you have completely rebooted your...
Listen, paying $14.99 a month for a streaming app and $9.99 a month for a music app and $12
immune system. After that third day, that which is called ketones, interestingly enough, ketones, is activated in your body. Your body starts going after and eliminating and targeting fat cells, impurities, and shutting them down. Illnesses, things that are not supposed to be there. Parasites are fighting for their life when you're fasting. It may not feel good because it literally sometimes can feel like you're going through hell, but it's a necessary hell. If you can conquer the art of fasting, saying you're not going to consume something for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, you can fight any illness. You can war with any parasite, whether it be a physical parasite operating with the astral or an astral parasite operating in your physical, all right? Whether it be something that affects your sleep cycles or whatever, you can fight anything that's plaguing your being if you can decide you won't eat. That's why they gave you the art of fasting, because something starts activating in your frontal lobe that says, I'm in control. That's why they call the frontal lobe the boss lobe of the body. It's the boss lobe. It controls. That's the steering wheel. So what's happening here when you're saying, I'm not going to eat, but your body says eat, that means there are two parts of you functioning. But you'll notice after you go without eating, your body starts being agreeable to you. Your body starts following you. So who have you been following? Have you been following your soul aspect of the self, or have you been following the body aspect of the self? Are you in it for your body or your soul? If you need more to figure out how to find and activate and get in tune with the soul, I'm literally giving you the basics. Go 3 days without eating and you will meet your soul. Go 3 days, don't eat any food. You can drink your water. All right, I'm not trying to, you can drink your water. Some people done dry fast. I'm not recommending that right now, okay, because I don't think people are there unless they reach that level. You go 3 days without food, you drink water, you will meet your soul. What is your soul? Your ability to say no to your body. That's your soul. If you can't separate your soul from your body, then you won't be able to know what it is. But once you do, you'll say, wait a minute. All right, I start feeling lighter after 3 days. I feel lighter. People had a gut. They couldn't get rid of their gut. They tried everything. They tried every dietary plan. They've been running all around the city with a jumping suit. You understand? They said, I can't lose my gut. I said, go on a fast. Immediately they started slimming down. People say, no, you don't need to fast. It was literally one of the brothers, the Raz Deshaun, one of my brothers, one of my people, right here on it. He was saying, what should he do? I said, yo, go for a whole month, do 3 days eating, 3 days not eating. You know what I mean? Well, I said, do 3 days not eating, then do a day where you do all your fruit. Then go another 3 days, and people telling him not to do it. They're saying, your body ain't going to, your body would, if you had to, you would. If you had to, you wouldn't eat. If you had to, you would fast. So put yourself in a position to assume that reality of your own nature. You will survive. What are you afraid of? But people started to lose their gut. And the more gut is present, there are impurities. This is just the reality. But people started to lose that, meaning they were literally getting lighter. That's why I told you, research fasting. Don't just listen. Research it, and you start taking on that science as your own. That's a simple science. With that same simple science, you can go after anything else that's hindering you in your everyday life. And just choose another direction. Reroute the self. All right? That's what's called metanoia. The Greek word that brings you to what? Thinking and repenting. And if I say repent, I say, go look up the etymology of repent. You'll find change your mind. To change your mind is to change your brain. You have something in your brain that's referred to as a neural pathway or neural pathways. Okay? And if you're walking one pathway and you want to change your mind and become a newer God or a newer L, change your pathway. How do you change your pathways, Faise? I'm telling you, if you get the urge to do something and you want to act off of impulse, tell yourself, I am not pulse. Because the impulse is to say, I'm pulse. I'm just the instant gratification self. Say, I'm not pulse. I'm longevity. Okay? And at the root word of longevity, you get a word there. Long. Breathe. Long. When you get an impulse, say, I'm not pulse. Think longevity and breathe. Boom. You need it again? You want to write it down? You want to text it to yourself?
Man, you going off, and there's a lot of people just coming in here and they just crowd up in here, man. We got a lot of people in here. You going ham, bro. Go ahead. Go ahead. Keep going. You going in. Like you saying, like, you making me proud. Just go ahead.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that people are here. Because it's needed. In the moment of impulse, all right, you say, I'm not pulse. I'm longevity, and you breathe. Why am I saying that? We taught the most simple science, or it was taught the most simple science of the prana, the breath. All right? I have a meditation tape that you might find on it's on my Faise One YouTube. It's called Inner Sense Meditation. The first track is breathe, remember. There's information all around you. That's where you get the science of prana. Information all around you. When you breathe, it is not some spiritual esoteric science. It is literally science. When you take in a deep breath and that parasympathetic nervous system is activated, you start to rest. If there's an impulse, that means something is agitated in your body. Say, act now, act now, act now. And your instinctual self thinks that it needs to do it. Your instinctual or reptilian brain, listen, thinks that you need to do whatever that urge is. Or need to act in accordance to whatever that urge is. Do whatever that action is. Do it now. Or they say, well, not you just do it. No, don't just do it. Think about it. And one of the best ways to activate the critical thinking self is to take a deep breath. Please go look up what I'm saying. This is science, not spirituality. You taking a deep breath. You hold and release. You just brought energy to the front of your brain. And that energy said, pay attention. He's telling us to pay attention. Or she's telling us to pay attention. And your brain activates and says, what do we need to pay attention to? Do another breath. There's something I want to do, but the reason why I'm stopping to think is I don't actually feel in my higher self, which is my frontal lobe, that this is going to benefit my being. The brain says, okay, we're going to go back to the drawing board then. Let's weigh out our options. What am I going to think of myself after I do this? Have I done this before? When I did it, was I okay with myself? In the moment of what appears to be pleasure or bliss, all right, when I thought that I was enjoying the act, okay, was I being deceived by instant gratification or impulse or a bliss, instant bliss? Right? Was I being confused and deceived by that moment, all right, or that current, which is energy, by whatever was happening around me that stimulated, okay, whatever those urges were? And once you figure that out, you say, okay, I do not have to do this. I do not have to do this. And what's also important is you have to not only set an intention for the moment, you have to pick up momentum and set an intention that takes you through your whole walk. Where are you going? If you're following the yellow or walking along the yellow brick road, or traveling, where are you going? You're going to the east? Okay. So then why would you stop right here in Southwest? Why would you stop over here near north or go east? That's where you're going. That's why I said don't get caught in them poppy fields. Keep walking. Because the poppy or the opioid, all right, keeps you stuck. And you start enjoying all this other stuff that has nothing to do with your walk. That's why you stay on the path, the straight and narrow. Narrow is the path, straightway is the path that leads to ease, life. Few be there that find it. Few people will find that pathway. Not many people will find the pathway to ease. But they said a lot of people will find the pathway to destruction, the red, or the destruction. So a lot of people, it's easier for you to do the deeds and the actions that cause for you to regret and have shame and all these other things that were introduced in the book of Genesis, where they first partook of the fruit of the moon, which a lot of people, when you think of the fruit, what is the fruit? A lot of people think it's an apple. What color do they see? They see red. It's for a reason. They had the shame, they had the blame, they had the deception, all of that was there. They didn't have to have that. So you fill up your lungs, you activate what's called the parasympathetic nervous system, you activate the frontal lobe or the prefrontal cortex, and you start becoming a forward thinker. You just had a conversation with your soul. And the more you do that, the stronger you become. They have a point where a person is about to orgasm. It's called the point of no return. Why do they call it that? They call it that because after you surrender to the urge to release, all right, and you walk through all the doors, okay, which are contractions, and every door got you closer and closer and closer to this release. After you walk through that door, there's no going back. Boom, there's a spark. It's called a climax. And that's the point of no return, that last door that you walk through that causes that spark. So they have another science, it was referred to as edging. What is an edge? Another word for edge is called limbus. Go look it up in Latin, limbus, which is limbo. And you have a limbus section in your brain. Go figure. When you're edging, you're teetering along the edge and say, am I going to choose to use my will, or am I going to fall back into the basal ganglia, or to the reptilian brain, or to the lower self? Are you evil because you listen to your instincts or your urges? No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying you're evil because you may be addicted to a drug. Most people are, in some way, shape, form, or fashion. What I'm saying is your brain is being convinced by your decisions, by your choices, that it needs the substance, or it needs the interaction, or it needs the indulgence, and it doesn't. And it's your soul that, when you communicate with it using your will remind you, okay, you are not a slave to your reality. You're not a slave to realities that these other people or elites have spawned. You're not a slave to it. Something happens in your realm, you do not have to react to it. You don't have to. If you get an urge to do something, you don't have to, it doesn't have to be a sexual urge. It can be an urge to fight because somebody hits you off. You're stronger not to fight. People think agreeable angels or agreeable people are weak. Let me tell you a little a small story about us. We're not. The end. Once upon a time, we ain't. The end. You're actually stronger. It's actually more energy that goes into doing green light magic than the energy required to do Amberlight magic. It's like puny magic. It's small. It takes more energy to do the healing works than it does to hurt somebody. It takes more energy to bring a world into order than it does to bring it out of order. It takes more energy to build a pyramid than it does to knock it down. It takes more energy to jump up on your porch than it does to walk off of it. Is this spiritual or is it scientific? It's scientific. It's a key word. It's called work. You go look up jewels, because that's a jewel. Joules. With me? And the work that you do is literally when you have to use your energy to get something done. All right? That's why I say there's been a very long period of time, the outward version of the silence in the heavens, because Dr. Malachi Z. York started his cracking open of the seal in 1970 all the way through the year 2000, which was 30 years, which was 30 minutes. That's why he was referred to as the man of the hour. Okay? So the second 30 minutes was leading up to that 2030 year that everybody's talking about now. Okay? They said it was a silence in the heavens, Revelation chapter 8, verse 1 and 2. Okay? There was a silence in the heavens for about half an hour. They came and locked Malachi York in 2002. Okay? So it wasn't all the way 30 years. It wasn't 30 years on the dot. It was about 30 years. About half an hour. And there have already been 21 of those years that have gone past, and 21 of those minutes that have gone past, and there's been silence. What am I saying by silence? I'm saying that he lifted up the golden ages, and people have just been walking with the golden ages in their hand like that's the end-all, be-all. Once you became a newer era on that pathway, and you started changing your brain to become a conscious being and alter your neural pathways, for those of you who did it, some of you before I was born. Once you did that, you still had to build a new world. If you became gods just to say you were gods, if you became Nubians just to say you were Nubians, if you became Nuwabians just to say you were Nuwabians, that was a waste of energy. You with me? The next stage is after those golden pyramids were erected, or that Nirvana, when you roll past